The story begins with a girl named Haya Shizaki Kani, who is known to be an amazing swordsman with the nickname Storm Cat. We learn that in her younger days, Haya would challenge and defeat many dojo masters, so one could even say that she fights like the god of wind. However, when Haya sleeps, she is as cute as an angel, so her looks are very deceiving. Now, we see our hero Kazuki, who was adopted by Kani's family and has been her adopted brother right since they were kids. He tries to wake up his sister, but she is fast asleep, and it doesn't look like she's going to wake up anytime soon. Kazuki also laments that from this day, he will be a freshman at the Night Academy, which he thinks will be a huge pain for him. Kazuki tries to wake up Kani again, but his efforts have no effect on her. But there's something shady going on here as well. It looks like our hero has intrusive thoughts about his stepsister, so he tries his best to fight his desires. He knows this is not the time to be thinking about such impure things. But then Kani wakes up from her slumber. She playfully refers to her stepbrother as Nyai-sama, and then she unleashes a special strangling art known as Death Plant Temptation. This sounds like a finisher move in a fantasy world, but it's actually just Kani's way of holding on to Kazuki with love. She is a bit fascinated with her stepbrother's body and scent, which makes him feel a bit awkward, especially with her sticking so close to him. Kani asks him not to be shy, so he tries to act like a man and says that he's not shy at all. It's just that he finds it a bit odd when siblings hold on to each other like this, but Kani is not letting go of him. Our hero tries his best, but it looks like his stepsister is using her magic powers to stay stuck to him. He asks her once again to let go of him, but she says that he should not call her love for him gross. Kazuki shrugs that off and goes on to ask his stepsister why she is dressed in a peculiar dress. She actually goes on to say that she went through the effort of looking like a schoolgirl, and she wants to know how her stepbrother feels about it. Kazuki has nothing to say at first, but then Kani says that it's been a while since they were able to meet like this, and today seems to be an anniversary as well, so she wanted to look good for her stepbrother. This kind of behavior is only acceptable in Alabama, so our hero comments that Kani has a few screws loose in her head. He has had enough of this shady behavior, so he is left with no other choice but to use his enchant or a spell. This helps him get his stepsister off his shoulder, but she makes a cute face while calling Kazuki a big meanie. Our hero doesn't have time to mess around, so he lifts up Kani and says that he is going to force her to get ready. After all, looking like a lost puppy isn't exactly helping her case right now. Kani is glad to see her stepbrother showing some love, so she even goes on to call the act of lifting her a secret art. She even names it the Princess Carry move, but Kaki tells her to calm her hormones down and focus on changing her clothes. The stepsister can only say that Kazuki's secret art has rendered her unable to move at all. Because of this, her stepbrother will have to help her change her clothes. She gets very excited when Kazuki looks at her body in a delicate state, but our hero tells her not to act shady with him. After a bit of a struggle, he is finally able to dress his stepsister the right way, and now she is looking cute in her uniform. Our hero also changes into his own uniform, so Kani tells him that he looks just as good too. She actually thinks the newer one suits him much better than the older one, but she obviously goes over the top. Whether she's talking about his blazer or the fit of the uniform, Kani can't stop praising her stepbrother and keeps going on and on about how much she adores him. Kazuki tells her to calm down once more, because it is not right to get this excited in front of her brother. Of course, by now we know that Kani has too many intrusive thoughts in her head, so she tells Kazuki that she would have liked it if he focused on her body rather than her uniform. Even though she is supposed to act like Kazuki's sister, she would like to be appreciated in her womanly form as well. Now, the stepsister takes a look at a katana sword after she equips herself with her own blade. She notices that Kazuki has not taken his blade yet, so she becomes a bit suspicious. Kani asks her stepbrother why he's not picking up the sword, so he simply says that he has no interest in doing so, as he is not a swordsman. It's at this point where we notice that there is some kind of symbol on our hero's left hand. Kani states that it is an enigma which only women can have in this fantasy world, so she can't figure why her stepbrother has it. However, Kazuki simply says that he does not want to talk about such things anymore, and he maintains that he does not have any kind of interest in sword fighting. It turns out that he did have an affection for it before, but not any longer. That's when we learn that any person with the Enigma symbol must enroll into the magic division of their academy and pair up with a diva girl via a contract. It's time for some context. So we learn that this is not Earth anymore, but some kind of fantasy world where the main academy has two divisions, out of which one is the magic zone and the other is for swordsmanship. Kani is a female swordsman, so she finds herself in the sword zone, while our hero is a summoner, so he has to be in the magic division. It turns out that all of this is due to a secret cult that was pursuing the evolution of humanity. They would conduct experiments using alchemy while keeping their shady acts a secret from society. 15 years ago, their efforts finally bore results when they discovered the power of magic. The root cause of this was a crimson fruit known as the Philosopher's Stone. Out of the blue, a mysterious man appeared and used alchemy to produce Philosopher's Stone at a mass scale. When this stone is put into the human mind, it awakens the dormant powers sleeping within them. And with that, the whole world changed. Every bit of a magician's body is covered by magic, which means that any kind of physical attack can be deflected instantly. This trick is called invalidation, and the magical barrier can only be pierced by swords that have been blessed or enchanted. This led to the age of magic and swords rather than technology and advancement. As a matter of fact, even the police and the special forces changed their units to swordsmen and magicians, and their unit name also changed to Kishiden. Their training academy is exactly where our hero is going to be learning magic. Now, we go to Kazuki and Kani, who are at the station leading to the training academy. The stepsister asks her stepbrother if he actually wants to become a magic boy, but he is annoyed that she keeps asking him the same question. However, Kani has the right to be disappointed because it was Kazuki who had inspired her to become a sword girl. Seeing him take up the role of a magician makes her feel betrayed. And she also hates the girl who has become her stepbrother's diva. We learn that this girl was the one who gave our hero the Enigma symbol, and he wonders why she did such a thing. It's time for more context. So we learn that in the depth of a human's heart, there is an unconscious mind which is as wide as the sea. Inside the bottom of this sea is another universe known as a storm, which is like a parallel world. All of mankind is connected here, and this universe is where the real magic swirls around. On top of that, there are creatures living here as well, and they can be summoned to the real world if the right kind of magic is used. Such beasts are not very different from the gods and demons of human myths, so it seems as if Earth in itself has turned into another world due to the discovery of magic. However, we also learn that such beasts are called divas, and they choose to pair with certain humans by imprinting an Enigma symbol on them. This means that Kazuki's diva might just be a creature and not a cute girl. Such symbols are under strict control by the Japanese government, probably because they are extremely powerful. The contract ceremony changes the Enigma into a stigma, and only person who has completed this ceremony can become a stigma magician, since people with an Enigma are forced to enroll into the magic division. Kazuki had no choice but to say yes. After all, he also had a passion for sword fighting, so he would have chosen the sword zone if it were up to him. Even so, Kani can't accept the fact that her stepbrother has enrolled into the magic division, so their dispute needs to be settled somehow. After all, Kazuki was the only person who could give his stepsister a good fight. The biggest shock, though, is when our hero reveals that Kani is his elder sister, which means that she's a lot older than she looks. He asks Kani to be reasonable, but his words continue to fall on deaf ears as she tells him not to address her like that. At the end of the day, she loves and respects her stepbrother a lot, so she wants to call out to him with as much affection as she can provide. Our hero once again brings up the fact that his stepsister is older than him, and we are taken to a flashback. We see Kazuki back when he was just an orphan and then brought into Kani's house. He did not know what his age was at the time, but his stepsister's family had decided that she needed someone close to her age to play with. After her mother had passed away, Kani became even closer to her stepbrother and he became an official member of her family. Since then, the general idea was of Kazuki being the kind big brother and Kani being the lousy little sister. However, the truth came out during the time of the Enigma symbol. When Kani had turned 14, she was expected to have the Enigma symbol as that was the normal age to get it. However, nothing happened to her or even Kazuki, and the real revelation came a whole year later when our hero got the Enigma symbol, which proved that he is younger than his stepsister. Despite that, Kani's behavior towards Kazuki did not change, and they continued to have the odd relationship that had begun when our hero came to Kani's home. Kani feels that it would be fine even if she were somehow stronger than her stepbrother, but the main problem is in the fact that she is older than him. Anyway, now that the chat is over, Kazuki refers to his stepsister as his senpai and asks her to take care of him. Of course, she doesn't like to be called such a thing by her stepbrother, so she asks Kazuki not to do that. However, our hero lets his intentions get the better of him and he holds onto Kani's cheeks because they are cute. He then pulls her cheeks to make her look even cuter, so she asks him not to play with her like this. Our hero tells his stepsister that since she is the strongest sword girl in the academy, he will make sure to become the strongest magician. He then says that he will always be her rival because his summoning magic will always defeat her magic sword, no matter how many times they fight. As expected, Kani blushes greatly and asks her stepbrother to become the strongest magician in the world. She also states that member of the Heya family never goes back on their word, so our hero has to do what he has promised. Suddenly, a boy comes running towards the step couple and calls out to the president of his group. It happens to be Kani, so she asks him what the matter is. The boy's name is revealed to be Tora and he asks his president why she has kept her phone off. Kani simply says that she is showing the freshman Kazuki around the academy, so she didn't want to be disturbed. Tora takes a look at our hero and is shocked to see a male student in the magic division. However, we also learn that there are rumors of Kazuki floating around the school, so Tora did hear about him. Kani takes this chance to laugh as if she is some kind of evil villain, and she declares that the freshman is none other than her stepbrother, of whom she is very proud. However, she keeps using the term Naisama, which means older brother in her culture. Tora is confused by this, so he asks Kani how this is possible, especially if Kazuki is a freshman. The sword girl prefers to live in her fantasies, so she asks Tora what the whole fuss is about. He goes on to reveal that there was a huge fight between the magic division and the sword division. This happened in the garden area located at the back of the school, so there was a huge uproar over it. Kani is not impressed by what Tora tells her, because he is supposed to be the number 3 swordsman in the academy. He states that the person who's actually got beef with the magic zone is none other than the president herself. Kani realizes that she needs to take care of this situation, but that means she has to leave her stepbrother for now. She says sorry for going at such an abrupt time, but Kazuki has no problem with it and even addresses his stepsister as president. Naturally, this makes her blush, and then we learn that the reason she is the president of the Sword Zone is because she was deemed to be the strongest in the academy. It's just how the school chooses its leaders, so it makes sense for them to do this with Kani. With that, she tells Tora to lead her the way because she needs to end this problem right here and now. Kazuki looks at his stepsister storming off, and now he's all by himself. Since he has no guide, he has to find the magic division without any help, so he decides to check out a building that's right in front of him. As our hero walks towards it, he is spotted by some cute girls who start to gossip with each other. After all, he is the rumored male student who was given the Enigma symbol by the Diva Beast. Some more students join in on the chatter and are surprised to see how normal and calm Kazuki is. They had thought he'd be some kind of monster based on the rumors, but now that they've seen him, they feel like there's been some kind of mistake. After all, Kazuki was known to be a wild barbarian of a swordsman, so he does not belong in the magic division. Our hero simply walks by all these students and realizes that Tora was telling the truth about him having so many rumors. He laments that he has come to such an outrageous area, so he should probably go to a place where people don't know him. He doesn't even know if he's going in the right direction, but then someone approaches him from behind and covers his eyes. She asks Kazuki to guess who it is, and the playful manner of her tone makes him realize that she must be a cute girl. He demands to know who it is. However, the girl continues to tease him and even presses her twin peaks up against his body. Of course, this awakens his intrusive thoughts as he enjoys the soft feeling on his back. The girl tells Kazuki that he needs to hurry up with his guess, otherwise he won't get the prize. Naturally, our hero is confused because he doesn't know anything about a prize for guessing a name. He wonders what kind of game he's gotten himself into, so that's when the girl reveals that the prize is a pair of tickets to the hot spring. If he gets the answer right, he can go to the hot spring with her and probably engage his intrusive thoughts even further. The girl seems to be very playful as she counts down to 10, but skips to 0 after 3 counts. Even then, she says that it can't be helped, so she is fine if he answers her while looking at her face as well. The girl leaves her hands, so Kazuki looks back and notices that she is not just cute but very curvy as well. He is amazed by her beauty, but still isn't able to guess her name, so she says that it's their first time meeting each other. She says sorry for clinging on to him so much and finally introduces herself as Atanashi, also known as Kaguya. She is a teenage girl who is going to follow our hero the whole time, and she even says that she will start crying if she doesn't live up to her name. She then reveals that she is going to be Kazuki's senpai, which makes sense now. Our hero goes on to state his name as well, but Kaguya seems to know his entire family history, and she narrates how he is from Kani's family and has been blessed with a Diva's Enigma symbol even though he is a master swordsman. Kazuki is surprised to see that Kaguya knows his stepsister, so she explains that they are good friends. Since he is special, the curvy babe had decided to do some research on him, but now that she is finally in front of him, she asks our hero if he wants to become her friend. Actually, she changes the statement and orders him to become her friend instead, and her eyes sparkle with some kind of mysterious aura. It could probably be that Kaguya has a huge crush on Kazuki, so he feels a bit awkward. Anyway, he doesn't have much of a choice, so he says yes, and this makes Kaguya extremely happy. She celebrates becoming his #1 friend and asks him to refer to her casually from now on. Of course, Kazuki says that he can't do that because she is his senpai after all. That's when Kaguya remembers that she has to teach magic to our hero, so she feels a bit embarrassed. Now, she moves closer to Kazuki and asks him what he's doing outside the school campus. Kaguya wonders if there is some kind of school expedition, but she gets too close to our hero for his own comfort. He panics because he can't afford to let his intrusive thoughts defeat him on the first day of school. It doesn't help that Kaguya's face is right in the firing line, and her scent is amazing as well. Kazuki uses all his honorable energy to defeat his shady intentions, and then he explains that his stepsister was just showing him around the campus earlier. She obviously had to leave with Toro after that, so our hero was left alone at that point. Kaguya says that if this is the case, then she will take over as Kazuki's stepsister and show him around the school instead. The curvy babe then offers her hand to him and says that if it's the magic zone he wants to see, then the first place to check out would be the Shadow of Sol Seal. With that, she takes Kazuki with her and our hero can sense all his anxiety going away. It's quite obvious because a cute girl is holding his hand, so it's almost as if Kazuki has become calmer than Gandhi at this point. However, before they can move ahead, Kaguya checks the time and realizes that she needs to be somewhere else. Of course, she wants to have more fun with Kazuki, but it can't be helped, so she turns to our hero and tells him there's been a change in the plan. They will now go to the fountain square where the opening ceremony is happening. The curvy sensei tells him that they need to hurry, otherwise they will miss it. Kazuki has no idea about any ceremonies, so he plays along, and Kaguya holds onto his hand because she doesn't want to leave him. From the looks of it, Kazuki is going to have a fun time being the only male student in a zone filled with cute girls. Now, we move to the National Night Academy Fountain Square, where our hero is the only male student present for the opening ceremony. The announcer states that the ceremony will begin shortly, but first, the new students need to be welcomed properly. Kazuki looks around for Kaguya, but is unable to find her because she left him right after reaching the fountain square. Our hero can't locate his curvy sensei, but then the speaker states that it's time for the council president to share a few words. That's when we learn that the president of the school's magic division is none other than Kaguya herself. Kazuki uses his brains and realizes that if Kaguya is the president here, then she is also the strongest stigma magician of the academy. She actually has a nickname, which is the Nightmare Bringer, but that does not align with the cuteness she was showing our hero not too long ago. The curvy sensei begins her speech and states that myths are taking over the world. By this, she means that the world is turning to the myths of the ancient times. She repeats the incidents that led the earth to crack open and allow the magic from Astrum to fill in the open spaces of the planet. Not only did this bring in a lot of demons and spirits, but also a phenomenon which has now been named cancer. It's time for some more context. So we learn that the 7 greatest magic nations of the world are Japan, America, Great Britain, Germany, Italy, Russia, and China. Each of these nations had attained the powers of the different legends, but that does not serve as any kind of security. Basically, even though Japan is a magic nation, that does not mean the chances of invasion are any less. This is why it is important to be prepared, even in the case of a Ragnarok situation. Kaguya goes on to say that international conflicts are not the only cause of concern, because domestic issues are also piling up like crazy. This is because of the unlawful goons who use their magic powers for evil causes. They are known as rogue magicians, and the rate at which they are increasing is not a good sign of the future. Invasion, rogue magicians, and cancer are the main reasons why this academy exists in the first place, so there is no need to fear such threats. Kaguya becomes passionate as she says everyone in this place has the kind of power needed to fight and take down these evil forces with ease. All of the students who have been elected to become the 72 Pillars of Solomon are prestigious cadets of the academy, and the new heroes of this world. With great power comes great responsibility, so the students cannot take their new roles lightly. Of course, it was not even a day ago when they were just normal high school students, but the tables have turned now. They might not even be sure of their future, but they can rest assured that things are going to become very exciting for them. At this moment, something approaches the fountain, and the students panic upon seeing it. Kazuki also worries upon seeing what's been brought here, because it's revealed to be a giant dragon under restraints. Everyone watches on in awe and fear as the dragon is brought closer to Kaguya, but the beast doesn't look like he's in a good mood. Kazuki wonders what the heck this council is about, and then Kaguya makes it even weirder for him and everyone by reciting some kind of spell. This causes the dragon's restraints to be opened up, and the beast is now free to do as he pleases. The dragon roars like Godzilla, and Kazuki can't believe that Kaguya would do such a thing with an overpowered monster. The dragon smashes the tiles of the fountain and then he turns his head to the students. His demonic eyes are scary as well, and they land on the fresher students standing right in front of him. The dragon can see his next meal waiting for him, but the students are extremely scared of the monster, so they don't even know what to do here. As expected, they just stand there helplessly while the dragon roars straight at them, implying he is going to attack now. The dragon turns towards everyone and prepares to charge straight at them, so things aren't looking very good for our hero and his fellow students. However, we see someone chanting a spell, and Kazuki turns around to see that it's his curvy sensei. Kaguya continues to chant her spell and demands the forces of magic to listen to her commands and reveal their true power. With this, she is able to identify the dragon's name to be Asmodeus, and then the beast turns to her. An odd voice talks to her and says that summoning him for a freak show isn't going to do. It's almost as if Kaguya has summoned some other entity to take over for her. Kazuki notices all of this, but has no idea what's going on with Kaguya or anything else right now. The dragon doesn't have time to solve any clues, so he charges at the curvy sensei with all his might. However, Kaguya is prepared for this, so she calls upon the entity's powers to lend its strength to her. She then plants her hands in front and summons a massive amount of energy into some kind of spirit bomb. She directs the energy right at the dragon and unleashes her ultimate finisher move on him. The dragon is no match for this power, and he is taken aback by what the curvy sensei is doing. As this happens, Kazuki just stands there and watches the show, as do the other students from the fresh batch. An intense surge of magic takes over the scene and decimates the dragon in front of the audience. Soon enough, all that's left is smoke and ashes, which means that Kaguya has successfully banished the overpowered beast with her spell. She then turns to the other students and tells them that what they have just seen is known as summoning magic. It is a power that they will soon possess if they complete their education here. However, she also tells the students to ask themselves what they will use this power for. After all, this is the kind of power that can only be wielded by humans who have a strong sense of justice and honor in their hearts. Gaining such power is not going to be a walk in the park, because the users will need great pride to summon it, a sense of justice to wield it, and the responsibility to use it correctly as well. Kazuki can only watch on in amazement for now, as his curvy sensei says that she hopes the students will engrave her words into their hearts from this point forward. With that, she switches to her cute mode and welcomes all of the students to the magic division. She has put on quite the show, so everyone cheers for her with passion. In the middle of their cheers, we see our hero looking at the symbol on his hand. He wonders if empty people like himself even deserve to wield such powers. Concepts like justice and peace are just obscure ideas to him, because the main reason why he chose to enroll into this academy was to simply please the father who adopted him into his family. Since becoming a knight is his end goal, our hero doubts if he should wield the kind of power he just saw from his curvy sensei. His thoughts are cut short when we see Kani coming to the scene and calling out to him. Kazuki asks her if she's done with her errand, and she says that she took care of it like a piece of cake. As a matter of fact, the girl who started the fight was beaten up with ease. It's at this very moment that Kaguya decides to chime in, and she says that she also heard of the way Kani dealt with the student. Kani greets her, which means that the girls do know each other, but that's as pleasant as it gets between them. Kaguya says that the dispute between the Magic Zone and the Sword Zone right now was not dealt with in the right way. No matter what the reason may be, there was no reason for Kani to get so violent. However, the Sword Girl says that the one who had launched the first attack was a Magic Zone student, so she had to teach her a lesson. Kaguya agrees that her side may have started the fight, but getting violent was not the right solution. It's bad enough that the Sword Zone and Magic Zone have very fragile relations between them, so incidents like this will only make it harder to maintain them. However, Kani says that Kaguya should hold her student accountable for what she had done. After all, her sword students are not target practice for summoning spells. Also, she doesn't want Kaguya to call her casually because she doesn't consider them to be close. Seeing all of this only makes Kazuki fret, because he was told by the curvy sensei that she was friends with his stepsister. That clearly doesn't seem to be the case here, so our hero laments the delicate atmosphere in the academy. Things now shift to Kazuki, as Kani asks him what he's doing with Kaguya. However, she refers to him as Naisama once again, which confuses the curvy sensei. She then states that she found Kazuki all alone and wandering around the school, so she decided to capture him. Kaguya says that she wants to give Kazuki some guidance, but Kani tells her stepbrother there is no need to seek any advice from such a girl. With that, she grabs our hero's hand and takes him away to continue their tour of the campus. However, Kaguya grabs his hand as well and says that she too wishes to guide him. This leads Kazuki to an awkward situation where both his stepsister and his sensei want to be with him. This is a scene that our hero might have seen on the internet before, as the curvy sensei says that she has to guide him through his magic lessons, as that is something his stepsister won't be able to help with. However, Kani says that she already has an arrangement with her stepbrother, so Kaguya should not try to interfere with their lives. Kazuki starts to sweat as the argument grows even further between the girls. Kaguya maintains that a magic student has to be guided by his council president. She turns to Kazuki and asks him if he agrees, but the way she cutely refers to him angers Kani, so she says that her stepbrother is more suited to the Sword Zone than the Magic Zone. She continues to state that Kazuki is her Naisama, and this hilariously leads our hero to think that the three of them are going to become good friends moving forward. Anyway, he tells both the girls to calm down for now, and declares that he will go to class all by himself for now. Now, we see Kazuki sitting in class, and he states that he already knows this, but the problem is that he's the only boy in a room filled with cute girls. He finds it hard to fight against his intrusive thoughts, especially with all the girls looking at him as if he is some kind of rare beast. There is no way out of this mess, so Kazuki figures he's just going to sit here and fight his shady intentions to the best of his ability. However, before he can even finish this statement in his head, the new teacher walks in and refers to all the students as trash. This catches everyone's attention, and the girls comment that the teacher looks very cute, almost like a doll. Even Kazuki can't take his eyes off her, but the teacher is shown to be a very grumpy girl as well. She doesn't seem to like the fact that she was called cute just now, and goes on to introduce herself as Liz Lisa. She is a graduate from Great Britain, which is the country that first introduced the concept of magic to the world. Over the next year, Liz is going to train all the students to transform into knights from the trash that they are right now. She even orders everyone to be prepared to thank her for this service, which comes across as odd. Now, Liz places her eyes on our hero and comments that this class is going to be a troublesome one for her. Before things can get out of control, she decides to tell all the girls that the boy present amongst them is an intruder and not worth their attention. She even calls him an ordinary piece of E-class trash, which does seem to be quite rude. However, Liz doesn't care and she tells Kazuki not to misunderstand his presence over here. Our hero is not going to sit there and take this nonsense, so he tells Liz that he has not misunderstood anything at all. He also doesn't intend to remain in E-class for long, so he impresses Liz with his attitude. The grumpy teacher says that she hopes Kazuki will live up to his words, and then she tells the girls not to get too carried away just because there is a boy in their class. They shouldn't go around screaming because of his presence, because if they have the time to do such things, then they should also have the time to aim straight for the top. Now, we learn that Kazuki is the only E-rank magician in this batch, and she has never come across such a low rank, apart from a couple of other magicians whom Liz has taught in her other classes. She is happy that there are some A-rank magicians in this class, and that's when a girl raises her hand to announce herself. We learn that her name is Mio, and she is the daughter of a noble family known as the Amasaki household. Mio says that she is an A-rank magician and her aim in life is to become the strongest magic girl in the world. Her main goal, though, is to match the powers of the council president, Kaguya. She promises not to lose to anyone in this world, and says that she's glad to meet everyone in this class. However, her speech is cut short by Liz, who calls all of her words nonsense. The grumpy sensei tells Mio that she did not ask her to introduce herself, so she should just sit down like the piece of trash she is. Mio can't say anything, so she obeys her sensei like a cute kitty cat while Kazuki watches from the sidelines. The girl sitting behind our hero says that Mio isn't even contracted to a diva beast yet, so there's no point in creating such a scene. This girl is the other A-rank magician in class, and her name is Koyu, as is pointed out by Liz. Kazuki gets a look at her and considers that she is quite cute. He wonders if Koyu is an elf girl, so it's time to learn what these beings are in the new world. A known phenomenon occurs within the humans that are blessed with unusually strong magical powers. As their bodies modify themselves to handle the magical power, they appear slightly different, as can be seen in the pointy ears that Koyu has. This is why they are called elves, and Kazuki can't stop looking at Koyu. She asks him if there is something on her face because she does not appreciate an E-rank magician staring at her with intrusive thoughts. Our hero activates player mode and tells her that he was just thinking about how pretty she is. Koyu does not believe such words and states that the better word to describe her would be grotesque and not beautiful. She even states that Kazuki should fix his attitude and not say false things to her, because it is unseemly of him to do so. This leads our hero to unleash his ultimate player move, and he says that he really means it. Kazuki openly declares that he thinks Koyu is cute, and it makes the elf girl blush. However, his flirt attacks are rendered useless by Liz, who calls him an E-rank piece of trash once more. She can't believe that Kazuki is hitting on a girl right in front of her face, and that too in the middle of her class. Our hero realizes that he is in the wrong, so he says sorry for letting his intrusive thoughts take over. Anyway, Liz agrees with Koyu and states that a person's rank will not have much meaning if they do not have the power to turn their enigma symbol into a stigma. That's when the moment of truth will really occur for a magician, and with this, Liz decides to begin her class. Forming a contract with a diva will come much later, so she decides to kick things off with some of the more basic lessons. Starting from number 1, she wants each of the students to introduce themselves, but the first person is Mio, who has already made a grand speech. Liz wants to skip her, but the noble girl says that she was not satisfied with the way her speech was ended. Everyone already knows enough about Mio because of her family, but our hero seems to have his eyes on her. She has a very cute face, and she starts to blush when she notices Kazuki looking at her, probably with shady intentions. Anyway, the noble girl decides to introduce herself once more, and she claims that she will become the next council president after Kaguya. Her hobbies are painting, writing, modern poetry, and sewing, but her specialty course is that of the magical arts. She then proceeds to wave at Kazuki while blushing, but our hero can't believe this is happening. He wonders if they know each other because it's not normal for him to be greeted like this. He believes that Mio might be waving at someone else in the class, and not him, so he looks away and doesn't respond to her. This makes the noble girl upset, but our hero doesn't know how to take a hint, so he continues to look away. That's all for now, so Mio gets upset and sits down with a grumpy expression. Kazuki wonders what that was all about because it could be that she has mistaken him to be someone else. After this incident, the other students continue with their own introductions, and all seems to be going well and smooth till it's our hero's time to talk about himself. He awkwardly stands up and says that he might be an E-rank magician, but he will do his best to become a strong magician. His hobbies are training, cooking, and doing laundry, but his specialty lies in the sword. As expected, everyone in the class finds this stupid, especially Mio, who believes that being an E-rank is one thing, but focusing on the sword is a whole other mess. The main problem for Mio is that Kazuki has joined the magic zone with the intention of attaining the stigma. But he also has a passion for the sword, which becomes a problem as it is an opposing skill. It is rather unsightly to see such a boy, so the noble girl says that his sword skills are of no use to the magic zone. Of course, our hero has no idea why she is so full of scorn, and then Liz explains to him that this is a magic zone, so even the mere mention of sword skills will bring about that kind of reaction. It may not be ideal for Kazuki, but that's just how things are over here. Our hero does admit that the summoning magic used by Kaguya at the opening ceremony was amazing, because she managed to defeat a dragon with it. However, he has a problem with the fact that magic is just something you are born with, if it is compared to the sword style that Kazuki's father taught him in Kani. Then there is no doubt that he would prefer the ways of the sword. This because a girl can just be born with magic and achieve things easily, but that's only because of how she was born and not due to her skills. After all, it's not even chosen by the girls, but the diva beast, so it's nothing special if you look at the efforts needed for it. On the other hand, sword fighting is something that men can only improve with dedication and hard work, which is why it is a much more respectable discipline. Kazuki regards it as a precious quality, but none of the girls care about his principles, so we move to Koyu, who gives a rather short intro. She simply says her name and states that she does not care for anyone over here. Neither does she have any hobbies of her own. With that, she sits down, so Kazuki turns behind to see what's up with her. The elf girl simply tells him to look in front, probably because she's still feeling shy from the flirt attack our hero had used on her. He quickly realizes that he's losing to his intrusive thoughts, so he says sorry and tries to focus on his studies while all the other girls look at him with suspicious eyes. Out of all the girls, Mio particularly has some questions because the fact that he is here as a magic boy is an act of rebellion against the rules of magic. She also wants to know which diva beast went ahead and chose him to wield such a great power, even as some of the girls call him a fool. Some time passes by, and now we reach the date for the contract ceremonies to begin. Kaguya comes to the scene once again to welcome the new students with a cute smile on her face. She declares that all of the students will now have to form their contracts with their divas, and we can see Liz right behind her with a grumpy look once again. This might be because she is jealous of the curvy sensei's twin peaks, but there's no time for personal judgments right now, so she tells the students that they will now be sent to Astrum via their subconscious minds. Once they reach, they will need to go beyond the gate of ID where they will speak with a diva beast. When that happens, the diva will give them the spell which will make the summoning process simpler by breaking it down into 4 simple steps. They go in the order of access, then order, then targeting, and finally, activation. Upon completing this, the students can go on to become stigma magicians. The catch though is that wandering out of the darkness of Astrum will be a problem, especially if the students need to find Diva's beast. As a matter of fact, no one from Classa was able to manage it, so this needs to be treated as a test more than a ceremony. Kaguya says that the students need to put all their hearts into this, and then she proceeds to call up seat number 1, which is Mio. She is ready for action, and then dives into Astrum immediately. The first 3 steps seem to have gone well enough, and when it's time for activation, we can hear a mysterious voice taking over Mio. She says that she knows the name of her diva, which is Phoenix, and the beast tells her that she is known to be a poet and magician. The diva now speaks through her body and says that she is like a songbird who likes to toy with reason via her sweet tongue. Mio's body starts to transform with a battle suit forming around her, and Kazuki comments that it's the same kind of battle suit that is worn by those who are chosen by a diva beast. The diva tells Mio to obey its command and prove her strength as we see the enigma symbol on her back transforming into a stigma. With this, Mio successfully transforms into a stigma magician and she proclaims her diva to be called Phoenix. She can see a spell right in front of her and believes that she can perform a level 1 summoning right here and now. However, before she gets too carried away, Liz screams at her and says not to push herself after diving into the Astrum that deeply. This restores some order at last, and Liz comments that she just avoided a close call. Kaguya, on the other hand, is gentler, and she tells Mio that there is no need to rush these things if she's already learned the spell. Anyway, the noble girl will now be able to connect with Astrum more easily from this point forward. The noble girl is congratulated on achieving a successful contract, and everyone applauds Mio for what she's done. Kazuki is also impressed, but he would not expect anything less from a magical prodigy like Mio. The noble girl has done just as she had said she would do in class, so she can live up to her promise. However, our hero still can't get why she had looked at him with such a cute face back then. It almost feels as if they've actually met before, but he can't seem to recall when this had happened. Neo looks at him yet again with a cute face, which means that something is definitely up. But there's no time for him to wonder as it's his turn now to step forward. Kazuki comes back to his senses and does as he's told, which makes Mio upset yet again because this is the second time that he's rejected her. Kaguya is more than pleased to see the sword boy once more, and she refers to him as Kanny's stepbrother as he steps in front of her. She asks him if he remembers what his stepsister was saying earlier in the morning about the conflict between the magic zone and the sword zone. Our hero says yes, and then Kaguya states that both the zones need to learn to work together. After all, if they don't compensate for each other's weaknesses, then there's no way for them to cone out and show their true powers. The curvy sensei laments that no one listens to what she has to say, but now that a sword boy has come into the magic zone, his presence could change everything the school has known about magicians and swordsmen. With this statement, she asks our hero to show her his diva beast. Kazuki is now sent to Astrum, and he is amazed to see how dark everything is around him. He wonders what the diva beast who chose him would be like. And then he suddenly hears a voice asking him if he is prepared to take on the power to change the world. This alerts our hero, because the power to change the world is a bit too much for him. He wonders what kind of contract he's getting into, because he doesn't know if he would even be able to use so much power. However, since he has been chosen under such a circumstance, then he is more than ready to give it a shot and lay his life on the line. Now, Kazuki tells his diva beast that if it wants to see resolve in him, then he has the quality in abundance. With that, his diva shows herself as a cute girl and forms a contract with him via a kiss. The diva's name is revealed to be Leem, but all the girls are shocked to see a complete contract being formed with Kazuki, and that too with a diva girl. Our hero feels a massive surge of energy which is coming from Leem's lips in the form of heat. With this, his enigma changes to a stigma and he becomes a successful magician just like that. However, Leem can't get enough of him and lets her own intrusive thoughts take over. The contract is done, but our hero has something to say to his diva girl. She wants to know what it is, and he awkwardly says that she doesn't have any clothes on. This leads to a hilarious situation as the diva girl panics and runs for cover while Kaguya tries to find her some clothes to cover her body. Naturally, Kazuki is a bit confused by what's going on, but then he loses his mind when he sees his curvy sensei in a rather delicate outfit. She simply says that she's wearing the decorteo outfit from Asmodeus underneath the robe she had on, and now she presents that robe to Leem. At the same time, she asks our hero not to stare at her, because his intrusive thoughts will surely take over if he continues to see her curvy body. Kaguya is feeling shy, so Kazuki looks away and apologizes for staring at her with shady intentions. The curvy sensei reveals that the reason she is wearing such a spicy outfit is because the decorteo would have helped her deal with any kind of mishap if it were to happen during the contract. Of course, since it looks a certain way, she had a robe over it, but that had to change because Leem doesn't even have a napkin on her body. The diva girl finally gets something to wear, but Liz is a bit suspicious of what's unfolding in front of her because there is no armor around Kazuki. She says that Leem is not one of the 72 Solomon pillars, so she wants to know what kind of diva she is. Leem simply says that she is Leem and has no idea about anything else, which is rather puzzling. Liz feels that Leem might be suffering from memory loss, but that is not a common sight for Diva Beast. She asks Leem what kind of powers she has, but to her surprise, the diva girl says that she has no powers at all. Liz can't believe what she's hearing because all divas have 10 inherent powers within them at all times. Nobody can figure why a diva without powers has shown up over here. But Leem doesn't care about any of this because she is feeling sleepy. She decides to take a nap on the ground, and Liz is totally speechless at this point. Of course, the one who's most confused is Kazuki, so he asks Leem to wait a minute. She changed his life by giving him the Enigma symbol, so he would like to know why that is the case. Liz tells our hero to stop with his line of questioning, but he says that he needs to know the meaning of it all. This is not what Liz meant though, because Leem has already fallen asleep, so it's not like she'll be able to answer anything at this point. There's a lot of chaos to deal with right now, but then Kaguya comes up with a new problem for everyone in the academy. From the looks of it, Kazuki has formed a contract with a diva who is not one of the 72 Pillars of Solomon. This means that he has made an illegal contract, which could cause a lot of trouble moving forward. Liz knows that the curvy sensei speaking the truth, but it would be best not to talk about such things right now. The current issue is to take Liam to the infirmary and discuss matters in the staff room. With Kazuki's contract done, it's time for Koyu to do her thing, and even she is able to form a contract with a diva named Weparl who has given her ice powers. Liz observes this and notes that Koyu has also been successful in her contract with a diva beast. Now that everyone has completed the ceremony, the only 3 students who have succeeded in their contracts are Kazuki, Mio, and Koyu. Now, we move to the infirmary where Kazuki is looking at Liam resting in the infirmary room. He comments that she is snoring away as if she is some kind of carefree girl. However, the real problem for him is that he has ended up making a contract with a diva who doesn't have any kind of armor or even powers. He wonders if this makes him an illegal summoner. And there is a strong reason behind this too. Basically, the current world forbids the formation of contracts with any divas who are outside the 72 Pillars of Solomon. If one was to do such a thing, then he would be pursued by the order as an illegal magician. This is because some divas are known to be hostile towards humans once they are given a certain amount of power. They can even use this power to consume and control the soul of the person who has summoned them. As a result, these hostile divas can take over their masters' bodies, which is a cause for concern. This is not at all what our hero was expecting, especially after all the drama that has come his way. He did not want the Enigma symbol in the first place, and now he is going to be punished for it as well. He clearly can't catch a break. And then there's a knock on the door, after which both Liz and Kaguya step inside. Kazuki looks at them with a dejected face, as they tell him that his sentence has been decided for now. Liz says that some of the staff members still don't trust Liam, and on top of that, our hero is suspected of being an illegal summoner. Keeping all these things in mind, the staff has decided to present a deal to him. Kazuki and Liam will be under observation at the school's magic zone, and they will need to stay at the student council's private dorm for now. The name of the place they have been allotted is called the Witch's House, but that doesn't sound promising to our hero at all. He can only wonder what kind of adventures await him over there. Kazuki carries Liam on his back, and after a decent walk, they finally reach their target area. Kaguya gives our hero a smile as she presents the witch's house to him, which doesn't really look all that bad. This is the home to the Students' Council, so Kazuki will need to move into this space for the time being. The interiors of this place look even better than the outside, and it feels as if Kazuki has walked into some kind of European mansion. Everything is so shiny and there's a lot of space to walk around, which makes our hero wonder why he was scared about it in the first place. Kaguya also comments that it's a large place and explains to Kazuki that he is now in a joint residence. The living room, kitchen, and bathrooms are all shared by the people living here, and the housekeeping is usually handled by those in the first year for the purpose of training. Kazuki has no issue with this, because he is very used to doing chores due to his stepsister. As a matter of fact, he even enjoys such tasks, so Kaguya is pleased to hear this. Now, Liam wakes up and calls out to Kazuki, so he expresses surprise to see her awake. The diva girl says that she has an emergency that needs to be taken care of immediately, so Kazuki becomes alert because danger might be nearby. He asks what the issue is, but Liam says that she has to go to the toilet. This upsets our hero, but he is surprised to see that even divas need to do such things. He asks Liam to hold it in for a bit longer, but it doesn't look like she'll be able to do that. Kaguya is more than happy to take Liam to the toilet, so our hero apologizes to his curvy sensei for making her go through this kind of trouble. She says it's all good and then she takes the diva girl with her. Kaguya tells Kazuki to feel free to take the vacant room on the second floor, but she also warns him not to enter any of the rooms that have nameplates on them. After all, this is where the council members stay, and since all of them are girls, Kazuki might just walk into something he'd love to see but would also get punished for. The curvy sensei also notifies our hero about a party that will be hosted downstairs later on, so he should also come for it once he's changed his clothes. This sounds like a nice plan to Kazuki, so he decides to go upstairs and change into something more comfortable. He notices a room without a name on the second floor, so he walks into it, but sees Mio inside without any clothes on. This leads to a hilarious situation, as Mio screams out of shyness, so our hero says sorry and shuts the door as he didn't mean to walk in on her changing. He tries to figure why Mio is over here, but before his mind can get to work, he hears another familiar voice talking about hearing a strange noise. It's none other than Koyu, who is dressed a bit too comfy for her own liking. She wants to know why an E-rank like Kazuki is here, but our hero can only stare at her delicate state. He asks her why she's wearing such clothes, but the elf girl says that it's Chut's lounge wear, so she doesn't see any issues with it. However, she doesn't like the fact that Kazuki is staring at her, so he says sorry for letting his intrusive thoughts run wild like a beast. Suddenly, the door opens from behind him and smashes his back in hilarious fashion. It's Mio, who is very upset and shy to see the E-rank magician over here. Even she wants to know what he's doing in the witch's house. But the important thing is that Kazuki has just seen her without any clothes on, so that's a bit embarrassing for the noble girl. Our hero has the audacity to tell her that it's all because of Murphy's Law, which states that anything which can go wrong will go wrong, and that too at the worst possible time. He also gives the real reason for being here, which is the fact that Kaguya had invited him to stay in the witch's house. What he would like to know is why Mio was in a room that had no name on it. She says that she's a rank, which is why she is in the council house. Basically, it is a tradition here for promising first-year students to stay in the council house so that they can learn from their seniors and become better at their skills. The noble girl continues to say that E-rank magicians like Kazuki are not supposed to be here, but the noise she generates causes Kaguya to come to the scene. She wants to know what the fuss is all about, so Mio asks her why Kazuki is here with his intrusive thoughts. The curvy sensei says that it can't be helped because some things have come up due to Lim. Kaguya states that she's aware of our hero being a boy, which can be awkward for everyone else as they are all girls. However, the seniors and staff members have decided that Kazuki and Lim will be staying with them at this mansion, so everyone needs to learn to get along with each other. Of course, Mio is not on board with this, and she keeps saying no, even though that's not really going to change anything. Some more time passes by, and now the welcome party begins. Kaguya says that she would like to kick things off, but the problem is that the vice president is out on a quest at the moment. They'll have to wait for her to begin the party, but Kazuki is amazed to know that there are quests in this academy. Naturally, Mio has something to say, so she tells our hero that she thinks he's a dunce, but he is still expected to pay attention when the speeches are being made at the ceremony. She explains that there is a guild in this world where students can help the order with their work. These students can form parties, investigate magic realms, and even capture rogue magicians. If the students can complete these tasks with ease, then it will help their ranks. Students can also engage in duels with each other, which can affect their rankings too. Koyu adds on by saying it's useless to brag about your current rank, because these activities will help determine your true level. This is exactly like the kind of stuff Kazuki likes to read about in manga comics. So he gets a decent idea of the concept. Our hero still has a question, and it concerns the third-year students as he knows that Kaguya is a second-year student. He basically doesn't know if there are any third-year girls over here, but Mio only becomes more frustrated after hearing this. She can't understand how all of this went over Kazuki's head during the orientation, so she asks him if he was even there in the first place. We learn that third-year students always travel around the country and visit the Order's branches as interns. This is why they are almost never seen in the academy. But now it's time to meet someone new. A mysterious person walks into the room and declares that she's back from her quest. It's none other than the vice president, who is also cute and curvy like Kaguya, but with short hair. She is happy to see the first-year students in waiting, and says sorry for taking so much time to come. Kazuki can identify this girl as the one who had brought the dragon to the opening ceremony for Kaguya to use her magic skills. This girl has a very gallant and dignified face, almost like that of a boy. The vice president takes one look at Kazuki and is amazed to see him, so she grabs his hand. She is amazed because she thinks she has finally found a girl who looks more boyish than her. Kazuki tries to tell her that he actually is a boy, but she keeps scanning him from top to bottom. She thinks his face is cool, and he also has a sturdy frame, so it's almost as if he is a real boy. Kazuki has let this go on for too long, so he decides to reveal the truth about himself and states that he is actually a boy, not a girl. This shocks the vice president, so she quickly hides behind Kaguya and asks what a boy is doing here at the council house. The curvy sensei says sorry to our hero for the vice president's behavior because she is a bit scared of boys. The reason behind this is that all of the schools she had studied in only had girls in them. Due to this, she was never able to interact with boys, and now she is a shy person. Despite this, Kaguya tells her vice president that she should at least introduce herself if she wants to be polite. Now, we finally learn that her name is Hikari, also known as Hika, and she is the vice president of the student council. Hika says it's nice to meet Kazuki, but we all know she's being very shy about it. Our hero looks at her for a bit, but this makes her very conscious, so she asks him not to stare at her for long. Kazuki is glad to see that she has a cute side to her, but then Lim shows up and says that Hika looks very interesting. She even says that the vice president would be good for contracting, but Kazuki has no idea what she means by this. Anyway, Hika tells Kaguya that she has brought a lot of sweets from her quest, so the curvy sensei celebrates this fact. With everyone in place now, the girls and Kazuki begin the welcome party at the witch's house. The party goes on for a while, and then our hero decides to finally call it a night. He heads to his room and comments that he had no idea they would be up till this late. Anyway, he's a new student here, so he's sure he'll be able to get along with the magic girls, even though they come across as a bit odd. He enters his room but is shocked to see Lim inside waiting for him. She is a bit upset over him being so late, but he asks her what she's doing here because she's supposed to have her own room. The diva girl says that she does not want anyone to listen in on this chat, which is why she chose to come to her master's room. Kazuki becomes a bit alert now, because Leem is implying that she does not have any memory loss, and all of this till now was just an act. The diva girl states that she does have a bit of trouble remembering everything, but she does know the basics of her mission as of now. The first matter to be sorted out is that Kazuki should know her true identity, as he is her contractor. Our hero has way too much to process now, but then it becomes even worse when his diva girl explains that her real name is the Lesser Key of Solomon, known as Leem-geddon. Basically, this implies that she is the Armageddon version of demon slave girls, and her ultimate ruler is the demon god who controls the 72 pillars. Kazuki has a hard time getting this, because Leem-geddon is supposed to be some kind of book relating to magic. Leem explains that it was just easier to have everyone fooled into thinking that she was actually a book. The truth of the matter is that the demon god Solomon has been summoning the pillars and controlling them through Leem because she has the right connection to them. This goes on to show that Leem actually has more power than all the other diva beasts put together. Technically, her magic is supposed to be the most important one, as it helped form the 10 magic powers that the other divas are known to possess. If we do the math, then Leem has around 720 powers under her control as of this moment. However, in order for her mission to work, she needs to fulfill one condition, which won't be possible if she tried to do it alone. Basically, since she can control the 72 pillars as per her will, even Kazuki will need to control the other humans as per his will. If he fails to do this, then he won't be able to use the power that Leem can unleash. Of course, words like subjugate make Kazuki a bit worried, so he seeks some clarity on the matter. This is when Leem explains to him that as per the modern trend, she needs him to get all the girls of this academy to fall in love with him, like slaves. This leads to an awkward pause, as our hero is totally dumbfounded upon hearing such a plan. Leem realizes she won't be able to explain anything like this, so she asks for a moment to narrate the whole plan. She gives him the example of Mio, who already has the Phoenix Diva on her side. If Kazuki is to form a relationship with her, then a connection will build between the two of them. This will allow Leem to draw out the power of the Phoenix. However, if he decides to remain a loner and a loser, then Leem will not be able to use any power from any of the divas. This basically translates to the fact that Leem will be useless if our hero is not popular, and he thinks it's a very ridiculous idea. Of course, the demon girl says that it's not so simple, because King Solomon's slave girls are supposed to bestow their knowledge into humans and help them prosper with it. After all, they need to work together to achieve a common goal, which is to rule everyone else. So, to sum it up, when the Magic Academy's Stigma girls wielding the 72 pillars come of age, they will need a king to command and order them around. This is Leem's true mission, which was why she gave Kazuki the Enigma symbol in the first place. She then tells our hero that he should put his faith in her, because she is going to turn him into a harem king. Now that we have a fair idea of what Kazuki is going to do, we move to Mio, who is resting in her bed, but seems to be upset over something. She had thought that it was going to be a nice reunion between her and Kazuki, but that didn't happen at all. We now learn that the two of them had met each other when they were kids, and it's been around 5 years since they last saw each other. The noble girl feels bad because she thinks that Kazuki has forgotten all about her, especially since he ignored her twice today. We move back to our hero now, who is still in shock over the fact that he has to become a harem king. Leem goes on to explain that King Solomon unifies all of those who have scattered by using his power of convergence. Without this power, the humans will not be able to resist a giant wave that will come to sweep this world away in the near future. The diva girl claims that humans are weak, and they exist to feed the demon god, which is why she has made this her mission, as have the other 72 pillars. All of this is fine, but what Kazuki is unable to understand is the need to build a harem for such a deadly mission. Leem does admit that building a harem at such short notice is not going to be an easy walk in the park, but she has a solution for it. The diva girl asks her master not to worry, and she prepares a decorteo armor for him, which will help build the harem for our hero. She uses her powers to create a ring that forms around Kazuki's left hand. This is none other than the famous Ring of Solomon, which is known to listen to the hearts of cute girls. It can also measure their feelings and quantify them to assist Kazuki in his mission. Now, Leem tells her master to activate the ring with his magic, and upon doing this, a screen forms in front of him. There are all kinds of numbers on this screen, but they are not very high as of now. As a matter of fact, the girl with the highest affection towards our hero is Mio, followed by Kaguya, then Koyu, and finally Hika. It takes Kazuki a moment to figure it out, but then he realizes that these are the feelings of the girls whom he must seduce into his harem. Leem agrees with him and clarifies that the numbers on the screen display their positivity levels towards him. Even Kazuki is shocked to see that Mio is the highest amongst the girls, because the way she behaves with him goes totally against this number. It does make sense for him to feel this way because Mio doesn't like sword skills and she keeps mocking him all the time. Anyway, Liam tells him that he must get the girls to go above the number 65 if he wants to win the key to their heart. Once this is done, he will be able to use level 1 summoning magic from their contracted diva beast. The mission is clear now, and the first target is Mio, but our hero feels that it's not going to be an easy task. Luckily, Liam tells him that the ring will detect any changes within the girls' hearts when he speaks with them. The best part is that these changes will be visible in the form of points which will rise if there is a heart symbol and fall if there is a skull symbol. Essentially, if Kazuki can see a girl's change in heart, then he will be able to figure out what makes them happy. With such a cool weapon on his side, our hero will be able to seduce any girl he wants. The funny part still remains that he needs to love a cute girl if he wants to become stronger. Of course, there's also the question of ethics, and Kazuki is not as shady as he might lead us to believe due to his intrusive thoughts. He says that while he does enjoy doing unspeakable things to girls, the problem lies in pursuing them for the purpose of power. It's not fair to these girls that our hero is being romantic with them just to get his hands on their diva beast. He then asks Liam if the positivity levels have to be romantic, because even friendship might work for him. However, the diva girl says that friendships between men and women are hard to establish no matter what most people may try to say. Becoming friends with 72 girls will be much harder than getting them to fall in love with Kazuki. Our hero understands this, but maintains that he will try to go for friendship first instead of love. Liam is not too pleased to hear this, but she will not force Kazuki because he is her new master and king. However, she does state that she will be observing our hero through Astrum, so he should be careful. Liam has had enough of talking now, so she tells her master that it's time to sleep as she gets into his bed. Once again, our hero hilariously asks her why she isn't going to her own room, but she says that she must sleep in the same bed as her master and king. After all, her whole existence was possible only because of Kazuki's magic, so it makes sense for her to be more stable if she is closer to him. Our hero doesn't have much of a choice, so he gets into bed with her and she snuggles close to him. Liam says goodnight to her stoic king, but he does not appreciate the usage of this word. Anyway, as he lies in bed, Kazuki thinks about how he has to become a harem king now. It's straight out of a light novel that he used to read back when Earth was still a normal world. However, he knows that winning someone's heart is not as easy as it looks like while playing a game. He's not even sure if he can become someone's love interest. But as he goes through his confidence issues, his phone starts to ring. It's a message from his stepsister Kanny, and she tells him that she is going to sleep in a spicy night dress because the moon is looking beautiful tonight. She tells her Naisama to feel free if he wants to have a fantasy about her or get excited about what she's wearing, so it doesn't look like she has changed at all. She hopes to see him in her dreams, and she asks him to see her in his dreams as well. Our hero has no idea what kind of videos his stepsister has been watching, but she needs to calm down. The next day is welcomed by a bright sun, and we can see the witch's house being cleaned properly by Kazuki. He has finished clearing up the living room, and it looks as good as new. He isn't done just yet, because he has to cook some food for all the girls in the dorm as well. He takes out some of the raw ingredients and makes a decent variety for breakfast. Kazuki recalls what Kaguya had told him about the first-year students doing all the chores in the dorms. He's fine with it either way, but he also hopes that his seniors will be impressed by what he has done. Liam reaches out to her master in his mind and tells him that he is behaving like a real king by trying to increase the positivity levels of the girls towards him. Of course, this makes him feel weird because he doesn't want his slave girl to use such terms. Our hero takes a look at the clock and figures that he still has some time, so he decides to cook some lunch. After all, there are enough ingredients for it, so he might as well get it done now rather than later. As he prepares the meal, Mio walks into the kitchen and they exchange glances. Kazuki remembers that out of all the girls, Mio is the one who has the highest affection for him. He wants to make use of this affection, so he asks her if she would like to finish the chores together with him. Of course, he does not know that he has already broken her heart, so Mio simply ignores him. This causes an awkward silence, and Kazuki doesn't know what to do next. But then Mio can smell something nice, so she turns around and notices the food that her crush has cooked. The dish is called carriage, and Mio seems to love it, as can be seen by the dreamy look in her eyes as she rushes to the cooking table. Kazuki tells her that he used to live in an orphan home and the cook over there taught him how to make it. But then he notices something very important. There is a heart icon coming out of Mio, which means that the points inside her are increasing. Even the Solomon ring reacts to this with the same symbol, just as Liam had told him the previous night. Kazuki wonders why this is happening now, but then he figures that it must be because carriage is Mio's favorite food. He decides to take a shot in the dark, so he asks Mio if she wants to cook with him, as it might be boring if she just watches the process with him. However, the noble girl does not have a favorable reaction to this and asks our hero if he wants her to do chores with him. This puts Kazuki in a spot of bother, so he tries to cover up by saying the first-year students need to do the chores of the house together. Sadly for him, Mio says that even though the both of them are in the first year, she is still higher than him because she is in a rank and he is an E rank. The noble girl puts on a shady face and says that if someone like her is a peon to the seniors, then a boy like Kazuki might as well be her slave. She takes it a bit further by saying Kazuki should feel honored to prepare her food, but all he can think of is how she wants him to be her slave boy. He does not react to her words and simply gets back to cooking because he does not want to create any fuss. Mio is a bit taken aback to see how calm he is, but this also puts a smile on her face and she even blushes when he's not looking. Mio positions herself behind Kazuki to see his cooking. And then we shift to the dining table where Kaguya is enjoying the food our hero has made. She feels that it is very fresh, so she asks him if he scooped the fish right out of the courtyard pond. She looks very suggestive while eating, but Kazuki must keep his intrusive thoughts in check, so he says that he just took the fillets out of the fridge and prepared them accordingly. Even so, the curvy sensei thinks the meal is top class and thanks her rival's stepbrother for the food. It's not just Kaguya who feels this way, because we see Mio, Haki, and Koyu also giving the same kind of response. As a matter of fact, Haki is so surprised to see that a boy can cook this well, so she won't have a problem if he is that kind of man. All of the girls have heart symbols floating out of them, which means that our hero is one step closer to becoming the harem king of this world. Liam also enjoys this and she congratulates her king for doing such a good job, even though he feels it wasn't much of an effort. Now, we learn that Magic Zone students are needed to take 3 separate classes that are divided as Mythology, Combat Arts, and Magical Control. As the names may suggest, Mythology focuses on the study of myths and legends pertaining to this world. In combat sports, the students are taught the various strategies of war, and the Order's standard formation is that of the heaven-to-earth formation, as far as magical control is considered. This is where the practical aspect of learning is involved. We see this in action when Mio uses her battle suit to test out her phoenix powers. She starts chanting a spell where she asks the phoenix to dance with its wings and scatter the sparks of its flames. She continues to chant some more in order to prepare her attack, and soon enough, she is able to channel enough energy to shoot a massive blast. Mio's phoenix is shown to be overpowered as she is able to a deadly spiral flower blast that is a finisher move. Of course, since both Mio and Koyu have contracts with Diva Beasts, they use their level 1 magic whenever they want. On top of that, they can also train to achieve master over the higher level magic skills. The other students, though, need to train to form a contract with the Diva Beasts first. If we look at our hero, he is in a rather unique situation because he has a contract with the demon god's slave, but he has no summoning magic to use. Due to this, he finds himself with a bucket of water and keeps swirling the liquid as part of his training. It's not like he's doing this to pass the time either, as Liz has instructed him to perform this duty. The reason behind her choosing to do this is because the task corresponds to the magic that our hero possesses. Apparently, if he can get used to handling fire and water like this, then it might come in handy when there is an actual war to fight. He is very focused on his task. But the other girls are amazed to see how he's just wasting his time on a bucket of water. They truly believe that the contract he made with Liam is useless and he is a lost cause. Mio walks up to Kazuki and asks him what he's doing with a bucket of water. She wants to know if such lowly tasks are what an E rank is supposed to be focusing on, but this only angers our hero. He says that swirling water in a bucket is pretty hard, because the water could easily splash out if he doesn't concentrate. Despite this, Mio says that the task is rather easy, so Kazuki feels like she's trying to pick a fight with him. He says that a noble girl like Mio might find it easy because she isn't a rank, but she counters by saying what he's doing can never be useful in battle. She takes it a step further by saying Kazuki may as well stir the water with his sword. This is the last straw for him, so he tells her that she doesn't know anything about swords as they would rust if they came in contact with water. Mio also answers back by telling our hero not to look down on magic. Things get a little bit heated as Mio says that Kazuki doesn't really care about magic because he will always have his family's sword to fall back on. On the other hand, she has made great progress and can already handle level 2 summoning magic. This is rather quick, so it shocks our hero to see how skilled Mio really is. If she keeps going at this pace, then she can even reach level 10 in no time. The noble girl takes this chance to mock her crush some more by saying he will only sit there and play with water while she will go on to make the most out of her phoenix powers. She says that she will cast the fear of Kaboom into the hearts of all the illegal magicians across the globe, and she will become the female hero that everyone needs. After all, she is a member of the elite, so it's possible for her theory to become a reality. Before she can continue with her speech, Kazuki stops her to ask what the heck a Kaboom is supposed to be. She is not interested in answering this question, but one thing does bother her, which is the fact that she never imagined Kazuki would be so beneath her. It's almost weird in a way because 5 years ago, it was a totally different story. The noble girl walks away, but our hero still doesn't get why it's weird for her to be above him in terms of rank. He just stands there and looks on in confusion, but he does realize that his current routine isn't going to cut it anymore. If he has to impress Mio, he needs to improve his magic powers, so he decides to start with some magic training in the mornings. After all, he can't just keep doing chores and hoping for the best, so this endeavor might just work out for him. Now, we move back to the Academy's dining room where Liam takes a bit of the carriage her master had made in the morning. Japanese fried chicken just can't go wrong, so even Liam falls in love with the dish. She comments that enjoying such things is part of the joy of living on a mortal planet. At the same time, Mio seems to be enjoying the food, but she says that it's been a while since she had something so plain. She states that something as basic as this would never appear on her family's table, and she takes it a step further by stating it's quite shameful to have an E-rank slave around. Our hero smiles as all of this is being said to him, but he also comments that the girls are still eating his food, so they have no right to complain about it. He doesn't like being called a slave either, because he is going to make Mio his slave soon. He asks the Phoenix girl not to talk to him this way, but she says that she has not accepted him into the witch's house just yet. His cooking has nothing to do with it, so she's basically forcing herself to eat the fried chicken, even though she secretly enjoys it. Mio makes a cute face while eating the chicken, but keeps saying that it tastes terrible. Kazuki doesn't appreciate this kind of talk, but then Koyu tells him that his cooking is delicious. The elf girl blushes and thanks our hero for sharing this food with her, so he feels happy about it and asks Koyu to come eat with him. However, this causes a skull symbol to show up and we see that Mio is angry with her crush for talking to another girl. She doesn't like to be ignored when she's eating with Kazuki, so he says sorry before another skull shows up. Now, one of the other students asks Mio a question, and it's to do with her relationship with our hero. The girl wants to know if the Phoenix girl is friends with the E-rank magician, so she immediately says no to it. Mio says that she's studying under the student council and Kaguya has given her a slave, so the other girls should not misunderstand it. The girl seems to have thought the very same thing and she is relieved to hear this, so she calls the other girls over to talk with Mio. Essentially, they thought that something was going on between her and Kazuki, which is why they were puzzled. After all, there's no way for an A-rank to be friends with an E-rank, and that too, a boy. Nobody seems to like Kazuki, and they ask Mio if it sucks to have a useless magician who can't even use summoning magic in their class. She is cornered by everyone, so she says yes without any hesitation. She doesn't just stop there and says that summoners like herself don't need to carry flashy swords around wherever they go. On top of that, to admit that the sword is one's forte after being an E-rank magician is not acceptable. Kazuki is trying his best to hold it all in, but then Mio says that her phoenix is much better than his sword style, which she considers to be garbage. The final nail in the coffin is when the Phoenix girl says that swordsmen are like cavemen over here who only like to swing their swords like sticks. Kazuki faced this during the intro class as well, and he can't figure why Mio keeps bringing his family into their quarrels. It's fine for her to insult him, but to keep mocking the people who are close to him is stepping over the line. However, Kazuki knows that he can't lose his cool, because he is under suspicion anyway, and is also supposed to work on becoming a harem king. Mio asks her crush if he has anything to say to this, but then Liam chimes in with her own opinion. First of all, she finds it rather humorous that students who haven't even been able to become stigma magicians are making fun of a boy who has a full contract with a diva. Such fools have no right to speak or comment on Kazuki, so she tells these students to focus on their own weaknesses first before turning to others. She decides to spice it up a bit by saying her king's sword skills are 100 times better than any of the magic girl's powers. The diva girl says that Mio can even see it for herself because the academy does allow dueling on its grounds. Her master tells her not to speak such nonsense because he does not want to get into trouble. Lean goes close to Kazuki and tells him that even though she does not remember much of why she chose him, the fact remains that she gave him the Enigma symbol for a reason. This means that he is most definitely not a weak fighter and can take on anyone. She then whispers into her master's ears that the duel will not have anything to do with the Ring of Solomon or the positivity level. After all, it's quite clear that he wants to battle Mio for all that she's said to him so far. The Phoenix girl demands to know what the master and slave are talking about, but Kazuki feels like he should put his background as a swordsman behind as he is now a magician. However, he also can't allow those that are close to him to endure insults like the ones Mio is barking at him. He must do them right, so he decides to teach the Phoenix girl a lesson that she will never forget. He is going to make sure that Mio will change her attitude towards sword skill, and hence, he challenges her to a duel due to the horrible things she has said to him. He also says that if he wins, then Mio will have to take back all the words she has used to mock his family. The Phoenix Girl is amazed by his boldness, but at the same time, this tells her that our hero has not changed since back when they knew each other. She agrees to the duel and says that she will meet Kazuki after school to settle things once and for all. Our hero prepares for this fight, and he has a burning passion in his eyes that we have not seen up until now. The both of them go to request for the duel, and for that, they need to speak with the president of the Magic Zone as well, which means Kaguya. She can't believe that our hero wishes to battle Mio, but they are not backing down from the challenge. The curvy sensei says that it's not right to fight, but then a voice declares that she has heard everything that needed to be heard from her stepbrother. It is none other than Kanny, who has also joined in on the fun by walking into the room. She encourages Kazuki to give the Phoenix Girl a beat down, even though Toro is sighing behind her. The stepsister believes that our hero wishes to defeat the magic girls from within their division, so she's fine with him being a summoner now. She even goes on to say that she could never have come up with such an amazing plan to take her family's name forward. Of course, Kazuki has had enough of this, so he grabs his stepsister's cheeks and pulls them, although she would love him to clap them. He asks her why she's bunking work to come deal with his issues, but she says that there is one more reason for her to be here rather than just her intrusive thoughts. She gives him his sword, which is named Wind Path, as she had anticipated that he would probably need it. We learn that the Wind Path is an ancient blade that is said to be invincible as it was restored by alchemy. As a matter of fact, it is said to be so strong that it can even cut through steel, and it was given to our hero by his stepfather as a means of recognizing his true talent. Kazuki takes the blade and feels a rush of energy flowing all over his body, almost as if this is the skill that he was always meant to master. Our hero says that his mission might be to become a stigmata king of harems, but at the end of the day, he can never forget his roots. Kanny gets excited from all this, so she asks her stepbrother to give her a kiss as her reward, but he tells her to stop messing around while others are watching. Of course, she calls him Naisama again, which leads the other girls to wonder if this is some kind of fantasy play, since Kanny is clearly older than Kazuki. Mio, on the other hand, states that it doesn't matter if he's fighting with a sword or a stick. She decides to head out in order to get this challenge done with once and for all. Our hero is fine with it, so he also steps out of the room and heads towards the battleground. Kaguya tries to stop them once again and says that she has not approved the duel just yet. This is when Kanny stops her and says that her approval won't be needed, as a duel can be permitted by either president. Since she is the president of the Sword Zone, the stepsister approves the duel and tells her stepbrother to do his best. As expected, the news spreads all over the campus and everyone is talking about the duel now. They can't believe the fact that two freshmen are fighting each other, and that too in a battle that involves the sword and magic. Since everyone is excited about this duel, they head over to the ground on the Magic Zone because that is what the council decides. As the crowd gathers in large numbers, Mio transforms into her Phoenix mode but comments that so many people don't need to turn up for a battle that will only last a second. Our hero doesn't let such trash talk affect him, so he simply prepares his sword for a fight that will change the way people look at him in this academy. Now, Koyu takes the lead as the witness of the duel, and she declares the fight to begin as both Mio and Kazuki look at each other with strong rivalry between them. Tensions rise as everyone anticipates a fight for the ages with both Mio and our hero looking like their reputations are at stake. Of course, Kazuki is not going to be reckless, so he assesses the situation first and realizes that his opponent is 50 meters away from him. As the battle cry is sounded, our hero rushes towards his target as he knows he can cover 50 meters in 5 seconds. The other students are amazed at his speed, but they know that even if he is a master swordsman, such a distance will still prove to be an issue. 5 seconds is more than enough time for Mio to complete her summoning spell, so she decides to call upon her Spiral Flower finisher move. The Phoenix awakens and launches itself at Kazuki, but our hero is so overpowered that the attack does nothing to him. He simply uses his speed and his sword to counter the Spiral Flower, and Mio is shocked to see how easily he was able to dodge her attack. Seeing such an impressive move prompts Kaguya to call Kazuki Cyclops, or the Magic Eye Demon, which is the name that was given to Kazuki due to his impressive skills. Mio refuses to back down, so she unleashes yet another Spiral Flower upon our hero, but it is of no use. Any ordinary Japanese swordsman can predict his opponent's breathing and movements, so dealing with Mio is a piece of cake. On top of that, Kazuki's family has a style that allows them to read the magical flow of their opponents as well. If one can predict the nature of such movements, then it won't matter how fast Mio's magic might be. Her chance to evade Kazuki's blade will be gone the moment he takes his sword out of his sheath, and we can see that in action when he closes in on her with deadly intent. Basically, Kazuki's family style is so amazing that it can be unleashed within a few milliseconds, as can be seen when he reaches Mio before she even has the chance to realize what's happened to her. She can't believe that she's already being attacked, and our hero lands a soft strike to smack her away. He's way too fast for the Phoenix girl, but she doesn't want to lose to him and his sword style. In a last-moment effort, she calls upon the Master of Flames to release his fury upon the earth. She takes aim at Kazuki and chants her spell completely while forming a summoning seal on the ground. She manages to transfer the seal to underneath Kazuki to trap him within her firing range. After this, Mio unleashes her ultimate finisher move, called the Flame Emperor Creation. It's a rather impressive attack and looks like it can deal a lot of damage. And Mio is happy because she knows he won't be able to dodge this kind of attack. After all, it's a wall of flames closing in on him from under the ground, so the Phoenix Girl is confident that she has won. However, to everyone's shock and awe, Kazuki steps out of the massive explosion without even a single scratch on his body. Mio can't believe this because it should be impossible to dodge that attack. None of that matters now, because our hero unleashes his own sword attack on her. Mio's magic is not working and things are looking bad for her. Even though Kazuki has not used any serious moves till now, it might turn out to be total humiliation for the Phoenix Girl, but then Koyu saves her by saying that's enough. Things could have ended badly for Mio had the elf girl not chimed in, and she declares the winner of the battle to be Kazuki by a landslide. Nobody can even comprehend how powerful our hero is as a swordsman. And even Kaguya admits that she has now seen the true power of the sword. Of course, Kani takes this chance to rub it in her face, so she says that magic is highly overrated in today's world. Every girl out there just wants to be taken in by a diva and have the magic handed over to her. Whereas humans can focus on their innate strength and achieve much greater things. With that, the stepsister tells the curvy sensei that she is looking forward to the inter-division matches in the academy, because the both of them will definitely be up against each other. Kaguya simply smiles at her, but then we hear Mio screaming from the background stating that she has not given up yet. Kazuki does not like her stubborn refusal to admit the truth, so he tells her to let it go. He did just beat her within seconds, so it wasn't even a contest. And he tells the Phoenix Girl to admit that his family's sword style isn't weak. Mio continues to act like a child and says that she will never admit to such a thing. She even calls the sword style trash despite having her summoning magic beaten so easily by it. Our hero has had enough of this nonsense, so he says that the duel should have proved it all to Mio, but then he notices something odd. The Phoenix Girl is crying, and she asks him why he doesn't remember him at all. She can't hold her feelings in any longer, so she tells Kazuki that she used to stay in the orphan house with him all those years ago. This is where it suddenly strikes our hero that he had indeed seen Mio before, and it was when they were both orphans living in the same house. It was essentially a child care institution where he was living right before he was adopted by Kani's family. While he was here, he was a little girl who would always follow him around like a little sister. She was none other than Mio, and now it all makes sense to Kazuki as to why she was behaving this way with him. He feels bad about what has happened, so he tells Mio that the girl he knew was really small and gentle as she was 2 years younger than him. The Phoenix Girl says that she's not small anymore as she's all grown up, but that doesn't explain the age gap. However, it strikes our hero that most of the children at the child care institution were either abandoned kids or orphaned. If he had repeated a grade and Mio had skipped one, then they would have been in the same class. Now that all his doubts have been cleared, Kazuki realizes that he's been hurting Mio ever since they met each other again. The Phoenix Girl continues to cry and says that Kazuki had left her for another family and even forgot about her, so he feels awful for causing her so much pain. Mio gets up now, and our hero tries to explain himself, but before he can do that, she says that she will never forgive his family for taking him away from her. She walks away from the scene and Kazuki can't help but feel like he's messed this one up. Now, Mio gives us some more context and tells us that Kazuki had left the orphan house 5 years ago because he was strong enough to move on from his life there. She, however, became alone again, but not for too long, as even she got adopted due to her magic skills. This led her to believe that magic was stronger than Kazuki's sword style, and she used this belief as a crutch to deal with her loneliness. However, she has lost now, and that too in miserable fashion, so her beliefs have been crushed. She believes that Kazuki is stronger than ever, and his big brother persona hasn't changed even after all these years. Mio almost feels like a fool for sulking so much because she was genuinely happy to see Kazuki again and talk to him about their time as orphans, even if it was in the form of a rant. She takes off her clothes and lays in bed while crying her heart out, but then she hears knocking on the door, and it's none other than our hero. He tells Mio that dinner is ready, and this grabs her attention, but then she says that she won't eat his food. Kazuki tells her that she can't skip dinner, but she says that it's for her to decide that. Our hero counters by saying he can't allow this as the manservant of the house, but Mio doesn't get why he's saying this, so she tells him to go away. Of course, that's not going to work on Kazuki, so he proudly enters the room with all his might and orders Mio to eat his food. What he doesn't realize though is that Mio does not have any clothes on at this point. As expected, this leads to a rather hilarious scene with Mio becoming embarrassed for exposing her curvy body to her crush. Of course, Kazuki says sorry for sneaking a peek, but then it's time to have a serious chat. Mio asks our hero if he still cares or worries for her now, so he says that's an obvious thing for him. As a matter of fact, it's because he cares that he's being so insistent on her eating dinner. This is good for the Phoenix girl because she can sense genuine concern from Kazuki. However, she wants to tease him for a bit, so she says that she won't eat his cooking because she's still mad at him. There doesn't seem to be any way out for our hero, so he decides to be the bigger person and tells Mio that he will return to being her slave for now. She doesn't get why he's saying this because she did lose the duel, and that too, rather savagely. However, Kazuki starts acting like her slave and calls Mio his mistress. He says that he has prepared the meal just for her, so she should break her unsightly fast. His words seem to have an effect on Mio, so she blushes and says that it can't be helped. She says that she's not hungry, but she'll still eat in order to reward her slave's loyalty. This seems like some kind of twisted fantasy play, but our hero is fine with it as long as Mio is happy. The Phoenix girl blushes and keeps talking about how Kazuki is going to remain her slave forever and never leave her side no matter what. Now, we move to the next day, where Kazuki has prepared bento for Mio and he gives her a nice meal. She says that Kazuki may have agreed to become her slave, but she did lose the duel to him, so she has to play nice. Mio then asks Kazuki how they used to season the fried chicken at the orphan house because she was never able to get the taste right. She goes on to say that they should try to cook it together because it will be a lot of fun for them, especially if they wear maid costumes. Hearing this seems to make Kazuki a little excited, but that just might be his intrusive thoughts kicking in. Mio also wonders why he's smiling and asks him if he's really looking forward to cook with his mistress. Seeing the Phoenix girl with our hero makes the other students realize that they have become friends now. This time, Mio gets offended, but not the way she did last time. The Phoenix girl scolds the other students and says that Kazuki is still her slave, but she also mentions that he is only to be with her, so no one can make fun of him if they are weaker than her. The other girls can't really say anything to that, because they can't beat Mio or Kazuki in the first place. At the same time, the girls start talking about how cool Kazuki is as a fighter because the way he defeated Mio was totally dominating. It's almost as if they have become his fans now, and Mio takes note of this. She can also see that our hero has a smirk in his face, so she wants to know why that is the case. He simply says that he's feeling happy and he wants the both of them to get along from this point forward. At first, Mio wonders why he's being so happy because she hasn't given him any reason to smirk. However, she instantly changes her tone and says that she can't help herself. So, from now on she will let her crush remain by her side for as long as she is alive. Our hero knows that Mio is not being totally honest with him, but that's fine because they are talking to each other like friends again. He hopes that someday they might even become as close as they were back at the orphan house as well. At the same time, he notices something odd with Mio's body as another heart symbol appears and she begins to shine bright like a diamond. That's when he realizes that he has passed the positivity level of 65 and has won Mio's heart. The Ring of Solomon glows strongly, so that means our hero has finally obtained the key to his first slave girl. Whatever Liam was telling him before is starting to make sense now, so he looks at the ring to see something amazing. The Phoenix Diva is now under his control, as can be seen by the fiery symbol forming on top of the ring. From this point on, Kazuki has conquered Mio and is no longer powerless as a stigma magician. How is our hero going to continue his journey as a harem king? Will it be just as easy to score girls like Kaguya and Koyo? Like, share, and subscribe if you liked this video. Hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload part 2. See you soon.